Hey St. Catharines, Mayor Matt Cisco here. Welcome back for another episode of talkSTC. A lot of exciting stuff going on this month in the city of St. Catharines and across the region of Niagara. Hopefully you've had a chance to get out to Montebello, enjoy the festivities at the Grape and Wine Parade, the Grape and Wine Festival. I hope you got out to the Grand Parade. I hope you got to enjoy my incredible outfit. I feel really good about that. It took me a while to put all the pieces together, but an enjoyable time for everybody. Pied Piper Parade, the Grape Stomp, every part of Grape and Wine is always an amazing time in the city of St. Catharines. Kudos to the organizers, Dorian Anderson and her team at the Grape and Wine Festival for the work that they put in. Also want to throw out a reminder to residents, we've got a lot of activities planned as part of the 2023 Culture Days. That festival's taking place between September 22nd and October 15th, so please check out the city's website, stcatharines.ca, for more details about that. On today's episode, we've got two great segments. We're going to start off today by chatting with Brian Bratt, who's the Executive Director at the Kristen French Advocacy Center. We're going to discuss the important work they do in the city, and then after that, we're going to have a segment with our favorite Niagara Ice Dogs, talk about the upcoming season and all the exciting things they have planned. But first and foremost, my first guest today, Brian Bratt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, I usually do a little bit of a bio. We'll give a rundown. I'm going to make you feel really self-conscious for a minute.
Oh, perfect.
Executive Director of the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center, position you've had since 2020. And we are seated in the beautiful Advocacy Center today. Thank you for inviting us in. You've got over 25 years of experience in the charitable sector, focus on supporting vulnerable children and youth. Prior to that, you had 18 years at the YMCA of Niagara. You've worked as an instructor at Niagara College, the Director of Development for the Boys and Girls Club of Niagara, a graduate of Brock University.
Yep.
Go Badgers. Made your home in Niagara Falls, where you live with your wife Jackie and your 3 teenage children. I'm not going to grind you too hard about living in Niagara Falls. That's okay.
It's all right.
Niagara Falls is beautiful too. My good friend Jim Diodati, he does a good job in Niagara Falls. But passionate about empowering young people to reach their full potential, you've dedicated your career to making a positive impact in children's lives. I will say, man after my own heart, I love the focus on kids. I think that's amazing, and thank you for everything you do. We're going to start off with a thank you, because I think anybody who dedicates their lives to the betterment of children, you're trying to build a better community in the future. And I think sometimes we get so focused on the right here and now, we forget that there's a whole generation, multiple generations coming after us.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do.
Right on. So first things first, I want to congratulate you on the recent celebration, 15 years of service to the community. Can you sort of give us an idea, what exactly does the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center do?
Well, really simply, we help victims become children again. We work with kids from across Niagara, in St. Catharines as well. Kids are victims of abuse, neglect, witness to violence. We work with a number of partners in the community, Niagara Regional Police, Family Children's Services, and the Family Counseling Center, to make sure that those kids get the support they need to not only deal with the trauma they're experiencing now, but to build a better life for them in the future.
That's important work. I sometimes don't think that people totally understand just how many kids get affected by those sorts of situations and how difficult it can be. We talk a lot now about trauma-informed care for adults, and we forget that there's children where that trauma actually takes place, and we may be able to deal with it right at the very beginning.
Well, and that's the trick. The idea is that if, through early intervention, if we can get kids the support they need when they're young, then they'll be more successful adults in the future.
That's exactly it. So at the center here, at any given time, how many kids are you working with?
Well, typically over the course of the year, we would see anywhere between 200 and 300 kids that would come to the center for the purpose of an investigation. So that is a formal investigation conducted by Niagara Regional Police, typically along with Family and Children's Services. And they do the investigations here in a kind of a friendly, welcoming environment that's low stress for the kids. The great thing about that, of course, is that it benefits not only the children, but it's better outcomes for everyone else. Kids that are in a more relaxed environment, they give more detail. They talk more about their experiences. And the police can then take that information, that evidence, if you will, pass along to the Crown, which leads to greater convictions, which is a very important thing.
And, you talk about the desire to open up. I mean, this is an incredibly friendly space. As we were walking in, you showed me the murals. Talk a little bit about, clearly you've got partnerships with artists and other folks in the community. Right. Talk a little bit about that and how you've been able to integrate their work into what creates that friendly experience?
Well, there's a number of things that we've done. We've invested quite heavily recently into renewing the center. Everything from renewed spaces, paint, flooring, but as you mentioned, new murals. We have an outdoor space, playground that we've just renewed, as well as a garden space as well. But we work collaboratively with a lot of partners, a lot of like-minded organizations, and particularly the arts community that we rely heavily on. So we're proud of the fact that we've got murals in our waiting rooms that were done by a local artist, Martina Doom, and they're unique to our center. And we also work with artists to integrate them into our programs. We have a number of after-school programs, art therapy programs, where we bring in guest artists to help work with the kids, so that not only can they improve their artistic skills, but they have a medium to kind of express themselves and to work through some of the trauma they've experienced.
Do you find that the arts is the best way for kids to be able to work through those issues that they have? I would think, it's a way to express yourself, obviously. Is that the key there?
I think any creative endeavor really helps, kids open up. I mean, we focus on more traditional art, but we've also brought in artists for everything from songwriting and music and a number of other mediums, because again, any opportunity for kids to kind of express themselves is of great benefit.
That's phenomenal. Now, one of the goals is to empower children, help them find their voice.
Right.
How do you achieve that? As a teacher, 15 years, sometimes it's difficult to help kids figure out how to express themselves, how to get those thoughts and ideas out there. What's the key here? Well,
I think that a great example is our recent summer day camps. We just came through a very successful season, introducing Niagara's first trauma-informed day camp. We had 25 kids a week at the center for 9 weeks, and that program is really taking a trauma-informed approach to help support kids that might not be successful in other more traditional settings. We focus on making sure those kids have their voice, that they get encouragement and support. They begin to trust adults and see the staff as role models. There's a number of things we put in just to make sure that kids that otherwise wouldn't be successful have a home here. And we saw some great examples through the summer where we have some kids that frankly were kicked out of most camps across Niagara because of behavioral issues. But we work with those kids, and over the course of the summer we had a number of kids that started off by half days, started off by partial weeks, and by the end of the summer they were coming full days, full weeks, and the parents commented on such a change, just a transformative change that they saw in their kids. So hopefully we're setting them up for success now with the school year and beyond. So it's something we're really proud of.
That's phenomenal, and it's something, as a teacher, 15 years, and you always will hear about kids, and they're described sometimes as behavioral cases. Right. And I think what gets lost, and I think society is starting to come around to this idea that, when there's a behavioral case, there's a reason for that. Like something happened somewhere along the way. So having a place like this that can help some of those hardest cases, those cases where the trauma that the kids have dealt with is massive and will have long-lasting ramifications, to have a place like this, I think, is amazing, because it's a recognition that that's real, that behavioral cases, that these issues don't just come out of nowhere.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So in the context of child advocacy, what are the biggest issues, what are the biggest concerns facing kids today, and how do you address them here?
Well, I think that you touched on it in the sense that it's not even just the hardest cases, it's childhood trauma. And that childhood trauma can take a lot of different forms, and it can even be some common forms. Things that happen a lot of times that kids have difficulty dealing with. This could be something like a death of a loved one, living through a divorce or separation, witnessing an accident. These are things that are fairly common, but if they're not dealt with, that trauma in the kids is something that they can carry with them. So not only do we work with the hardest cases, but we offer a variety of programs and services to really support kids of all kinds that have experienced all forms of trauma, so that they can better deal with those immediate effects and position themselves to be successful in the future.
So you've been the executive director here since 2020. You've
Yes.
got 3 years. What's the future direction? Where are you leading the center? What are the future goals?
Well, there is a huge need in Niagara for support for children. And so we're stepping up to meet that need. And what that looks like is increased programs and services. I had mentioned our summer day camp. We're looking at expanding that to other locations next year. We've got a variety of after-school programs, including therapeutic yoga. We've also in expanding the amount of therapy we do. We're sitting in a space right now. This play therapy room is one of the few in Niagara that is a dedicated space for play therapy that allows us to do work with kids as young as 3 years old. So we're expanding our programs, our services, our facility, again, to make sure that those kids in Niagara that need help can get help.
That's phenomenal. So October 18th,
Yes.
you've got a fun event coming up, your annual fundraiser, the Spotlight Gala in support of the center. Tell me about it. Yeah. Tell me how people can get tickets if they want to attend.
We're so proud of the Penner Spotlight Gala. It's going into its 7th year. As you said, October 18th. If folks would like to purchase tickets, they can do so by visiting us online at kristenfrenchcacn.org. It's a great event. It's a great celebration, really, of the work that we do. And we hope that you can make it.
Fingers crossed I could be there. Brian, thank you so much for inviting us into the space today and letting us do this and getting that message out and letting people understand what exactly the facility does and why it's so important to the community.
Matt, we appreciate the support. Thank you.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us right after the break. We're going to be talking Ice Dogs hockey here on talkSTC. Hey St. Catharines, welcome back to this episode of talkSTC. Now you may have remembered off of the hop, right at the beginning of the episode, I talked about us being going to talk to the Ice Dogs. Clearly this is not the Meridian Center. Ice Dogs were so busy getting into their season, getting ready for the upcoming 23-24 season, they weren't able to make time for us this week. We're going to get back to them in a future episode. You may have also heard me talk about the fantastic suit that I was wearing for Grape and Wine. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Because we are shooting on location and we are here with Colleen Smith. Colleen is our first two-time guest on the show. So that's exciting.
Thank you. It is very exciting.
And so for those who remember, Colleen is the executive director here at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre in downtown St. Catharines. We are going to have a quick conversation about all the fun things that are happening at the FOPAC this upcoming season.
So many fun things. We're really excited to get our season off to a great start.
And we're looking forward to seeing what's coming up. Now, before we get into it, because we do have a long lineup of things, we want to talk about all the cool shows that are happening. You are kicking things off with the East Coast Kitchen Party on October 14th. I'm just going to say right off the hop, I am a Nova Scotia guy. I was born in Halifax, so you are clearly trying to pull at my heartstrings with this one. Tell me a little bit about the East Coast Kitchen Party.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser, actually. It's a fundraiser for all the great work that the Performing Arts Centre does with youth and with our community, with our Indigenous communities. And so this is going to be an annual fundraiser that we do every year in October, and each year we focus on a different province. So last year was sort of a combination of all the provinces, but this year is featuring Nova Scotia. So that's exciting, and we have none other than Ashley McIsaac. He is royalty in Cape Breton. He's going to be our headliner. And then we're going to have great food, great drink. It's going to be a fantastic evening. We've got auctions, we've got live auctions, we've got a lot of fun that's going to happen. And we still have some tickets left, actually, on October 14th. Starting at 7:30 p.m. And we're really hoping that the community comes out and celebrates all things Nova Scotia.
I am 100% in support of that idea. Again, I think you were trying to pull at my heartstrings by picking Nova Scotia for this year. It's funny for me. So in my family, the kitchen party is just the way we do things. Yeah. And, especially as we start getting into the cooler time of year, we're not out in the backyard, we're not on the deck, we're in the kitchen, and people just congregate around the kitchen. And our kitchen kind of doubles as our dining room because we swallowed up 2 rooms to make it a bigger kitchen. So I can only say kudos. Great choice with Ashley McIsaac because I grew up listening to Ashley McIsaac. So
yeah, me too. He's fantastic, and that whole feeling of the kitchen party, it's community coming together with music to uplift, and that's exactly what we're going to do inside Robertson. So it is going to be a really beautiful evening. Phenomenal.
So that's how we're kicking the season off. Tell me a little bit about the community programs and the youth programs that are going on here at the PAC this year.
Yeah, well, the community program started really in the summer. We do outdoor films. So we had free outdoor films in the backyard. That was for a series of Fridays throughout the summer. And then as we go into the season, we really kick into our youth programs. So we have a series called the Impact Series, and throughout the year we have 8 different series that we offer to schools from all across the region. And we're starting off at the end of this month with something called Through the Fire, which is actually the Niagara Symphony Orchestra coming in with Sultans of String and performing a whole medley of really interesting repertoire. So we're doing that for our Impact program. It's completely sold out, but the Niagara Symphony Orchestra is doing a similar program on the 30th of September and the 1st of October, and they still have tickets available. So I really encourage you to check that out too. And our youth programs go all throughout the year. We also have youth film programs. We have other almost like apprenticeship programs for youth as well. So the PAC does great work because kids are the future of our audiences and future artists. So we really care a lot about that.
Well, and I think that was part of the goal when we made the decision to build the FOPAC, going all the way back to 2011, 2012, was that connection with the broader community and with the youth groups to try and continue to build out that creative cultural hub in downtown St. Catharines. So great job on that.
Thank you.
The 2023-24 lineup.
Yeah.
So you and I took a quick look at it before we started, and a lot of artists, but I will say, you're managing to hit a lot of different groups.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just geared towards, folks that remember the 80s or folks that remember the 70s or folks that, like me, that are kind of 90s kids. Like, you have stuff there for everybody. Talk a little bit about what's coming up this season.
We have so many big shows. So let's talk about Dean Brody coming to the PAC for the very first time. That's pretty amazing. We have Kim Mitchell, always a big hit with people in the St. Catharines area. We have Charlie Brown Christmas, which is just such a beautiful show that's coming back with TD Jazz, and that's going to be in December. We have the Next Generation Leahys. Again, a lot of really beautiful holiday programs that are suitable for families. And then we have Dan Mangan. Then we have the Trues. We have Tegan and Sarah. They're actually going to be performing here in the spring of 2024, but as a part of our season. So it really does span the gamut. And then we've got the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. We have the most beautiful contemporary dance artists. Guillaume Cote has a show that's coming in. He used to be the principal dancer for the National Ballet of Canada. So it's just, there is something here for everybody. And tickets are moving really well, especially to those big shows. So we encourage people, don't wait. Don't wait to buy those tickets. Buy them now to make sure that you are here to see your favorite artists.
Well, in the vein of don't wait, we were talking about the East Coast Kitchen Party to start, and I just had to kind of have a difficult conversation with my staff about, let's make sure that ticket is there for me. I need to make sure that I'm at that show.
I will make sure that you are there at that show.
I appreciate that. And I will just very quickly shout out to Tegan and Sarah, because as I described earlier, I was one of the original fanboys. I love Tegan and Sarah. I think they're phenomenal. And it's just, this lineup, it kind of kills me how good it is. And it seems like every year, the FOPAC is improving upon what they're doing with the live shows that come through the building.
We want to make sure that people get what they want here. We don't want you to go to Toronto. We don't want you to go other places. You have everything that you need right here. So we aim to please.
So with that said, the Film House is obviously something that is running year-round. There's always a lot of amazing stuff coming through the Film House. Anything interesting, exciting can we expect, like the movies that are nominated for Oscars and all the rest? Because ultimately, I always find this is the place I have to come if I want to see those Oscar nominees. A couple years ago, Parasite won the Oscar for Best Picture, and I saw it here because this was the only place showing it. So what sort of plans do we have coming up for the Film House?
The cool thing, you might not know this, is Kathy Carr, who is our Film House coordinator, went to TIFF in September. Nice. And so she got all the inside scoop on all the great movies that are being released and all the Oscar contenders. So I'm not going to tell you what they are because I would be giving away secrets. But just know that when we hit 2024 and we're ramping up into Oscar season, everything you need to see will be here.
That's phenomenal. One of the things I get most excited for is the next month's Film House lineup, just to see what there is and what I might be able to get out to.
Hey, did you know that the Rocky Horror Picture Show is going to be playing here at the end of October?
I feel like that's becoming a bit of a theme for you guys here.
Yeah, it's great. We have such a good turnout, and people come in costume and they participate, and so we're going to do a few screenings of that towards the end of October.
See, my worry is always that I don't know all of the rules. I know you're supposed to shout at certain times, and so I feel like I've got to come and sit in the back row, not dressed up, just sort of observe, understand the culture around it, because the Rocky Horror Picture Show It's a bit of a cultural thing by itself.
It's a cult classic. So you come this year, you can sit and observe.
Okay.
And then next year you're a full participant. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Niagara Symphony. What's coming up with them?
So one of our favorite partners, the Niagara Symphony Orchestra, they turned 75 this year, and they look amazing, and they sound amazing. And so we have such wonderful resources by way of organizations in our community, and we can't take them for granted. And the symphony are top-notch musicians. Brad has an excellent program this year that he's created for the symphony, and we want people to get out and say, we love our symphony, we care about our symphony, and we're buying tickets, and we're donating and supporting them. So I just want to say they have so many things happening throughout the year. Almost all of them are here at the Performing Arts Center, and we ask that people come out and support and enjoy live classical music. There's nothing like it.
100%. I know we have a very strong advocate on City Council in Councillor Bill Phillips, who's pushing everybody to make sure they get out and check out the symphony. We are incredibly blessed to have them here in the community. And the fact that they've existed for 75 years is fantastic. The city's happy to support them and the things they do. So we've talked a lot about stuff. We've talked a lot about, shows and movies and kitchen parties. What are you most excited about this season?
Oh, that's such a hard question. There's one that we haven't talked about. It's a 5-member a cappella group from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, and they're called Nobuntu. These 5 women are coming in, and they are going to give us a glimpse of the world that you can't see here in the Niagara region. And I'm really, really excited about that. I love the music that comes from Zimbabwe, and it's just not often that you get to see an authentic performance. So I'm super excited about that one.
Awesome. So shows like that, that's providing a cultural element that maybe we have never seen in St. Catharines and in Niagara. What sort of plans are there to try and reach out for groups like that to get them more involved and get more of those types of shows here? Because we're seeing an increase in the diversity in the community. We're seeing, ethnic groups that maybe had never called Niagara their home that are starting to find their way here. And I think it's important for the broader community to be able to understand where these folks, originated from and what their cultures look like as well, and to provide maybe a taste of home for them. What sort of things can we be doing to encourage that?
That's the beauty of the arts, is that it provides a perspective on the world that you might not engage with on a regular basis. And Sarah Palmieri is our fantastic programmer, and she is so connected to all of the great work that is traveling around the world. And she helps to get block bookings so that there's a number of performing arts centers that will sign up to have some of these artists come in. So she's always on the lookout for really amazing quality work from all around the globe. And that's a part of our priority, is bringing these kinds of artists' perspectives and glimpses of people who might not look like us, but really intrinsically are like us, and experiencing that on stage. So it is a part of what we do. It's an important part of what we do, and we balance everything out. So we balance Dean Brody and Tegan and Sarah with Nobuntu. We balance out Cadence Springs, who's a beautiful jazz artist coming in from the States that you probably don't know about. We balance her out with Bela Fleck, who's a bit of a protege sort of in the folk world from the States. So it's a part of who we are and what we do, and we take great pride in curating these kinds of performances and shows for people in the region.
Now, before we go, we got one more minute, and I just wanted to provide a little bit of a glow up to one of your staff. I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this since it happened, but a member of your staff was named one of the 40 under 40 here in Niagara. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Carlos and how awesome he is, because I know, but the broader community should know about the guy.
Oh, Carlos Robayo. So he's such a pillar of our senior team. He was just named 40 under 40 earlier this year. Carlos is our Director of Finance and Administration, and he is one of the hardest working, smartest, and having the most initiative to continue to improve himself kind of people that I think I've ever had the privilege to work with. And he's here today. He was there yesterday. He's at the flag raising for Culture Days. He's here helping out with Grape and Wine. He comes out and helps with the kitchen party, and he supports his colleagues. So kudos to Carlos, and shout out to him for being a really great member of this team.
Right on. Shout out to Carlos. He's when I was the budget chair during the COVID years, he was the guy that had to have the conversations with me about how we were going to keep things going, and did a great job.
Fantastic.
Colleen, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me today.
Thank you, Mayor Cisco.
That was a great rundown of what the season looks like, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, and looking forward to having you all here.
Right on. Folks, we will be right back after the break. Stick with talkSTC.
Catharines, thank you so much for being a part of this episode of Talk STC. I want to thank Brian from the Kristen French Advocacy Center. I want to thank Colleen from the First Ontario Performing Arts Center. One more shout out to my guy Carlos Raballo from the First Ontario Performing Arts Center. Congratulations, my friend, on the 40 under 40. We will see you next time here on Talk STC.